What's up, guys? This is Seville with another DC Multiverse action figure review. Today, I'm going to be talking about the new Walgreens exclusive Bizarro. It does come in the standard blue packaging that's been associated with the line since the Clayface wave. However, if you can give me just a few more seconds, I'll get Bizarro out of the package. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. Now that Bizarro is out of the box, I'm going to give him another full rotation on the spinner, that way you can see him all the way around. This figure does feature a cloth goods cape, as well as many other accessories, including several pieces that Bizarro believes makes for a good Clark Kent disguise. Additionally, he also includes two swappable hands for flight poses, as well as a Bizarro #1 necklace. While there have been many versions of Bizarro over the years, this one seems to be mostly based on John Byrne's take that was established in the Man of Steel miniseries, which rewrote the origins for Superman and his supporting characters in the 1980s. This figure does have a really nice overall look to it, especially if you prefer that late 70s, early 80s style. The brighter color scheme is very reminiscent of the Christopher Reeve movies, as well as the Superpowers action figure line. The cape is a practically identical recreation of that style, even including the wired grip that holds it around his neck. Of course, from an aesthetics point of view, that does mean the cape sits a little higher on him than it should, because it's supposed to be tucked into his tights. Sculpt-wise, it does reuse a lot of parts from the Rebirth Superman as well as the Kingdom Come Superman, but given that this former Bizarro is supposed to be a clone of Superman, I'm okay with that because it totally makes sense. From the neck up though, it is all new, with a lot of detail going into the face for the decayed, almost zombified look. And it's not just a paint job, all those creases and indentions are sculpted in. The neckline isn't quite as sculpted as the head, but it is painted well enough to kinda hide that. The hands do have a similar detail level as the head, and that level of quality does continue on the flight hands as well, helping it maintain a consistent look. The necklace looks okay, but it is pretty flimsy. The necklace is actually more associated with later versions of Bizarro. The Clark Kent accessories, though, do make more sense for this version, being very reminiscent of the John Byrne origins. And it does look pretty funny compared next to the actual Clark Kent figure. And wow, that figure is definitely a lot smaller than I thought he was, and is totally not in scale with anything. Anyway, let's take away all the Clark Kent stuff and compare Bizarro to the DC Rebirth Superman figure. Obviously, you can tell that they are very, very similar to each other, using most of the same body sculpt from the neck down, with the biggest difference mostly being the belt. And then of course Bizarro having the cloth cape instead of the sculpted one. So if you have the Rebirth figure, you pretty much already know what you got. With that being said, let's take a look at Mattel's first Bizarro that was part of the DC Superheroes line. Back then, the Superman figures were a lot bulkier and had more of a wide leg stance. As an ongoing character, I do kind of prefer the darker colors for Bizarro, because it helps differentiate him from Superman. But again, given the context, the classic colors on the Walgreens version does make sense. So with all that said, I'm going to do a quick overview of Bizarro's articulation, but assuming you're familiar with the recent DC Multiverse figures, I won't spend a whole lot of time on it. The head does have a little bit of up and down movement, and of course, 4 rotations side to side. The shoulders do spin all the way around, as well as move outward. The biceps do have 4 rotation, and the elbows fold to a 90-degree angle. The wrists also have full rotation as well. The ab crunch has a decent range of motion, folding over pretty well. The waist also has full rotation. The legs can spread straight out, as well as rotate in the ball joint and at the thigh cut. He does have the double jointed knees that fold really well, and the ankles do pretty well up and down, but have no pivot. So with all that said, it's time to run through my guidelines for a complete and fair review. As stated, the sculpt doesn't use a lot of new parts, but that doesn't make it any less accurate. It does have some nice sculpted parts where necessary, and it also has more than 20 points of articulation. It is in scale with the Multiverse line, and it does balance really well. It certainly includes many accessories, making it well worth the roughly $20 price point. I didn't have any notable quality control issues with my figure, but accessibility can be an issue. Walgreens exclusives can be very erratic in their distributions, with some stores having too many and others never receiving any. Leading this figure to a score of 8 out of 10 stars, meaning it is excellent and a must-own for all fans. So if you're a fan of Bizarro at all, it is definitely worth the hunt for this figure. Thank you guys for watching, and if you like this video,
get over here!
And subscribe to Civilian Collectibles.